Welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Now, according to some of our real estate experts, there has been a rise in all-cash home buyer transactions in Houston. But what does that really mean for the Houston market, for buyers and sellers? The CEO of a residential real estate marketplace in Houston joins us now to answer those questions. Now, Josh, it has always been our fear here in Texas that all of these California people, all of these New York people would bring these big cash sales to our market. And we're starting to see that. What does that mean for the average consumer who may not have that kind of money to buy a house cash?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. And you're right. This is actually a continuation of a trend that we saw that started back when the pandemic arrived. I mean, Houston's a pretty nice area to live, and I think a lot of people around the country are figuring that out. You know, about a third of all the homes purchased nationwide in 2023 were all cash. It's about a third, and that's
really that large amount.
That's right. And what our data shows in Houston is that that amount could be as high as 45%. So it is true that more cash offers, more cash buyers are happening in Houston than in the nation as whole. And this is actually something that on the Sunday marketplace we're seeing as well. To give you some perspective, we started last year getting about 23 cash offers on the homes that sellers list on our marketplace, about 23 on average. That ended the year over 50. So last year we did see a big influx of cash buyers.
And so would the seller more likely be attracted to a cash buy than someone who's financing with a mortgage?
You know, in almost every case, the answer is yes. It's a simpler transaction. There's less to go through, less contingencies. Often these cash offers, they're not contingent on an appraisal. They're not contingent on the sale of another home. They're not contingent on getting a mortgage. And so that, for a seller, that makes your job easier. It makes you more confident that your sale is going to go through. I would say there is a positive, though, for the other buyers out there of these cash transactions, and that's that typically cash gets a lower price for the home because there's less hassle. What does that mean is it actually, even though prices in Houston are doing quite well, the more cash offers there are, technically slightly lower the prices are going to go up because homeowners are saying, I'll take a lower price for my home if it's cash. So I think for other buyers out there who are feeling marginalized by not being a cash buyer, the one silver lining is prices are going up a little less fast because of those cash purchases.
We're almost feeling like welfare buyers now with all the people with the big cash outspending us. But you say they don't tend to outspend. How will this ultimately change the landscape when it comes to real estate in the city of Houston? What are we looking at down the road 10 years from now, if you could assess that?
Yeah. Well, I think the long-term outlook for Houston real estate is strong. For the Houstonians listening, it's just a wonderful place to be, to live. The state of Texas is so business friendly. There's so many reasons to want to be there. I think that, you know, the broader issue really that I think we're going to have to deal with to keep it fair and equitable for everybody is really just creating more housing. You know, I think the demand is not going to stop to live in a wonderful place like Houston. I think it's really the job of builders and policymakers and Sunday, you know, everybody to come together and say, how can we create more housing so that we can reduce some of the pricing pressure and allow everybody else that, hey, it's okay to need a mortgage. I mean, that's how we've done business in America for a long time. That's how we've gotten into the American dream of home ownership is typically through mortgages. That shouldn't be a disadvantage. Right. And I think the more housing we can create, the less of a disadvantage that will become.
And Josh, where do we stand with our inventory in Houston now when it comes to real estate? I remember, you know, at the end of the year, I was talking to a realtor and he says a lot of builders want to move those homes off their books. And so they have great sales at the end of the year, beginning in November, December. But are we seeing more and more homes being built here, or are we in a lull with the number of homes that are being built newly here in the city of Houston?
Yeah. Supply is far below where demand is, and I think that's why we're seeing prices continue to be supported. It is true that towards the end of the year, builders are closing out their books and they're trying to move inventory and they're giving out incentives. That doesn't really have as much to do with demand and supply dynamics as just year-end financials. And I think the reality in the Houston market is there's more demand than there is supply of homes. Supply is going up a little bit, and the reason that's happening is mortgage rates, found that 8% level, which none of us can believe, since it was only 3% not too long ago. But they've started to come down, and that is what there's this lock-in effect that you've probably heard about, where if you have a 4 or 5% mortgage, even if you want to trade and move up and sell your existing home, you don't want to go get an 8% mortgage. Now that those are down and more in the mid sixes, and I think we anticipate rates continuing to march down to the mid five or the high fives by the end of the year. As interest rates come down, sellers are going to be putting their homes on the market more and more. That is going to help a lot. We're starting to see that a little bit right now.